So thank you, Claire, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Just a question about forest bathing. That's the term that has been popular recently, but I think I would love to hear how you would define forest bathing.
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying what it isn't, which is we're not going swimming in muddy ponds in nature, which some people do think is what it is, and understandably by the title. And it's a translation of Shinrin-yoku, which means forest bathing, as the practice has its origins in Japan. But essentially, what we're doing is bathing in the atmosphere of the woodlands around us, the forests. So taking in the sights, the smells, the textures, really sinking into the experience of connecting with the forest landscape. So if you think about sunbathing, not something I do much with my colouring, but that sense of really relaxing into the present moment, just what you're doing and experiencing as you lie in the warm sun and receiving the pleasure and the benefit of that. So that's a little feel of what forest bathing is. And essentially, we're taking a gentle, slow walk through a woodland landscape. And the guide will pause at various points and guide the group through what we call invitations, which are very simple exercises to facilitate a deeper connection, to bring our focus into a particular aspect of the nature around us that allows us to settle more deeply into the mindful moment, into a more relaxed meditative state. And we often receive insights or observations as we do this as well. So it's for me, a very enjoyable practice. And I run my sessions in silence. So apart from the introduction, you're then kind of just dropping into this connection with the natural world and with yourself. And at the end, we share our experiences, which is a kind of lovely way to connect at the end of the practice. So it's a whistle stop tour of what forest bathing might involve. And just to say, it really did emerge in Japan out of a response to the recognition of how damaging stressful modern life was to the mental and physical well-being of particularly the urban populations. A lot of people were suffering with stress and stress-related illnesses, and the Japanese government was so impressed by the science and the kind of rigorous research about how nature connection can really help alleviate some of those symptoms and illnesses that it started weaving forest bathing into the mainstream preventative healthcare system and set up national programs.
I can see the benefits of having a guide because in urban environments, just going out for a walk in nature, you still carry those thoughts with you.
Well, there's something very lovely about being guided, in that you can really let go of any responsibility of anything else and feel kind of held and safe in the practice. And also, if you've committed to a session, you're likely to do it. The sessions are 2.5 hours, and it's quite rare for us to gift ourselves that opportunity. So, but there is absolutely lots of possibility to do nature connection on our own and in short, simple ways in day-to-day life as well. So,
Thank you. Thanks for that. And what benefits have you observed for people in stressful professions?
mm. So, as I say, there's been actually a lot of research into the benefits of nature connection. And when we talk about stressful professions and stressful modern life, often we're talking about an overstimulation of our nervous system, of our blood chemistry, of what we're doing with our brain, our responses, kind of responding to a pressure that actually you may find yourself living most of the time in a slightly fight or flight stress response. And actually, a large number of us are doing that and not knowing it becomes our normal. And actually, the human body is designed to pop into that state and then come back into a state of balance and rest and digest in our nervous system. And connection with nature will help you do that. So we know that, for example, a 2-hour forest bathing session has been shown to lower cortisol levels, to affect the heart rate, blood pressure, all the kind of stress symptoms that you probably feel at the end of a working day or the middle of a working day. That kind of slightly fizzy, overstimulated state. Um, all of that drops down when we connect in nature. And even the activity that is happening in our brain. So, there's so much wonderful research, but even in an MRI scanner in a hospital, if you show people like an urban landscape, the parts of the brain that are associated with stressful thinking and rumination come awake. You show them a photograph of a tree, not even being out with the tree and the smell and the texture, and that goes quiet. The part of our brain that's associated with connection with others, with empathy, with creativity, starts to come awake. So
Wow.
it also boosts our immune system. So it makes sense, our human body is an incredible instrument and it evolved over millennia to be at its best in the natural environment. So only very, very recently we've started living in this speedy, detached kind of modern world. So once we give ourselves the right setup, we can kind of gravitate back towards a state of balance and presence and health. And nature's a really good way of doing that. So does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I wandered off a little bit. There's so much I could share. I'll try
That's
and
so
condense
rich
it.
because, I mean, just think an image of a tree can do that, then it's really powerful. At
Yeah.
least we have something in lockdown. I don't know. This is a very global community, so everyone's in different parts of the world. And some parts, I think initially you were not allowed to exercise outside. So even, I mean, that's really great to know that even being able to look at an image, and that's really powerful, actually. It's,
Absolutely. It's amazing. Yeah. And available almost always to us. And I think sometimes we can dismiss things that are easily available and enjoyable and free. We kind of forget that there's a real medicine there as well.
thank you. And finally, how to get started with forest bathing? And I know it's probably a very simple answer as well, but also about your work, I'd like to ask you to share about your work.
Well, as I was saying, there is something very lovely about being guided, especially if you're new to the practice, and about doing it with a group. And obviously, at the moment, certainly in London, we're not able to do that. But if you are drawn to it and there is somewhere nearby you at some point, I would really recommend giving it a go as a guided practice. But you can also just incorporate nature connection into your daily life in lots of simple ways. And that might be almost doing yourself a little forest bathing walk. So you may take a walk out in nature and kind of choose for it to be mindful, to be as much as you can in the present. Of course, your mind will wander, you just bring it back. But starting with a threshold, so maybe deciding as you leave your front door or as you enter a park, while you're in that space, you're just going to keep your attention in the moment, leave your phone off, and have a look around you. It's really helpful to use your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? Maybe be curious and allow yourself to also feel what is the texture of a different tree's bark. What do the leaves feel like? What's the temperature of the air on your skin? What are the smells? Can you hear the bird song? When we are in contact with our senses, we're necessarily in the present. I can hear the bird that is singing right now. There's a connection between me and the bird in this moment. And that in itself drops us back into kind of the present state, which is where our nervous system can regulate. And actually, particularly the sounds of nature, so the bird song, the wind in the trees, the running water has been shown to really soothe our nervous system. So the sound of a siren or a car horn or the kind of very urban sounds often actually release cortisol stress hormones in our body. And when we then counter it with the bird song, it resets. So again, if you can't get outside, there are lots of apps where you can just listen to birdsong as you're doing the washing up or hanging out the laundry or whatever. We can sort of bring nature in as well if we can't get out. And another way to keep our mind in the moment when we're out in nature is maybe to choose a colour and have your eye open for what can I spy that's yellow as I walk around my neighbourhood? Are there yellow plants? You know, it helps us anchor into the moment and you'll start to notice different aspects of nature. And as you can see, I actually on the first floor, I don't have a garden, but you can see I can see some green out of my window. So I often have my morning coffee just sitting, staring out the window for 10 minutes. You know, that in itself will just really help land back in. You don't have to even go outside if that's not available to you. So just coming with curiosity and noticing the nature that's around you. You may take it for granted and be surprised as you go for a walk and choose to see what's there that you maybe hadn't noticed before. So
Thank you very much.
I hope that's some pointers to get started.
Okay. And would you like to share about your work and the sessions that you do?
Sure. So I'm based in London, which isn't what people often think when I say I'm a nature wellbeing practitioner. But nature really is everywhere, uh, and we only, you know, we can seek it out. So I'm also a psychotherapist. So I'm really concerned with supporting people to thrive in every way that they can. And my nature work, I run forest bathing sessions in North London, in Queenswood, in Highgate. I also do various workshops around aligning with the seasons and really connecting with nature and receiving her teachings in order to inspire us of how to live well, how to listen to our own rhythms, our own impulses, and to find that sort of healthy balance that can be tricky in modern life. Um, and I run ongoing groups for people to be part of as well. So a range of offerings, and most of which are online at the moment. But
I'll share the link if you don't mind sharing. I'll share the link with the
yeah, so
people.
I'd love you to also, if you want to follow Nature as Nurture on Instagram. If you, as I was saying, you know, even looking at pictures of nature helps land us back. So if you can get a few nature themed accounts in your social media feed and then just pause when they pop up, that's another good way to anchor into the moment.
So simple.
Yeah.
That's thank you. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you for all those insights, and it's been such a rich discussion.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. I hope it's helpful and enjoy connecting with the nature around you wherever you are.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching.